Alright, now I'm going to go over the solutions for A16, the vertex form of the quadratic function. I'm going to go ahead and write this at the equation at the top of the page, so we'll have it for reference. The equation in vertex form for a quadratic function is f of x is equal to a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. And I'm going to write out to the side y equals, just so you realize that y equals f of x. It's the same thing. Now all we have to do to solve these problems is we look at our equation that's given. For example, on problem number 1, a is equal to negative 6, h is equal to 2. All right, it's not negative 2. Is we're subtracting h, so we're subtracting a positive 2. All right, k is equal to negative 9, though. Okay, the reason it's negative 9 is because our formula says plus k. Since we have a negative here, we know that our k is a negative 9. All right, all we have to do is fill in some blanks. Our vertex, if you look back at your notes, is hk. Alright, and that's equal to the two numbers we just pulled out. H is equal to 2, and k is equal to negative 9. Alright. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate what the y-intercept is. Where you have a y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our equation y equals negative 6, we're going to plug in 0 for x, subtract 2, square it, and then subtract 9. Now it's just basic math. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. So what we have is negative 6 times positive 4, and then we have to subtract 9. Well, negative 24 minus 9 gives us negative 33. All right, so we now know our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is 0, negative 33. Our axis of symmetry is simply whatever our h value is. And h is equal to 2, therefore the axis of symmetry is x is equal to 2. Okay, moving on to question number 2. We're going to look at the function they gave us. They said f of x is equal to quantity x plus 4 squared. This one, if we notice, we do not have a k value, so that's the same thing as saying k is equal to 0. Our vertex is going to be hk, so the first thing we're going to do is write down that h is equal to a negative 4. It's probably easiest if whatever this sign is, take the opposite of it, and that's what your h value is. So, h is equal to negative 4, all right, and k is equal to 0. We've got that part down. Now, to find the y-intercept, we're going to plug in f of 0, okay? That's going to be equal to y, and f of 0 is simply 0 plus 4 quantity squared, all right? 4 squared is 16, so that tells us that y is equal to 16. We have our y-intercept. We know x is 0, and our y-intercept is at positive 16. The axis of symmetry, that's the easy thing. It's just equal to h. So we're going to write down that x is equal to negative 4. Okay, moving on to question number 3. 3 is very similar to problem number 1. first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down what our h value is. And as I said during the last problem, it's the opposite sign of this. So our h value is going to be positive 7. All right. Our k value is simply positive 4. Okay. The k keeps the sign. The h, you switch the sign. All right. So our vertex is at hk. So h is 7 and k is 4. We have that. Now we're going to do f of 0 is equal to 3. We substitute in 0 for x minus 7 quantity squared plus 4. Okay. Negative 7 squared is equal to 49. We still have to multiply that by 3 and add 4. 3 times 49 is 147. And we add 4 to it. And we find out that our value for y is equal to 151. All right. So our y-intercept is at 0, 151. The easy part, once again, the axis of symmetry, we just write down what our h value is, so we have x is equal to 7. That one's pretty good. Good thing we don't have to graph it and go up to 151. Okay, moving on to problem number 4. This one's the information's given to you a little differently. It says, write the equation of a quadratic function with f of 0 equal to 9. The function, when x is 0, y is equal to 9. With a minimum value, that means that's your vertex, that's the minimum. So we know that h and k. Okay? What I'd like you guys to do is get in the habit of writing down the information before you get going. So it takes a few extra seconds, but when you're plugging things back into the equation, it will help you keep the sign straight and which values you have. So negative 2 is equal to h, and 5 is equal to k. And then we have our other coordinates, which are 0 and negative 9. So that is your x, and that is your y. What we're going to do next is simply just plug our information into our vertex form of the equation. So we see y is equal to, this is positive 9, not a negative 9. We see y is equal to 9 times a plus x is 0, all right, minus h. Well, minus a negative 2 makes it plus 2. We square that quantity, and then we add k to it, plus 5. All right? So what we have is 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4, so we end up with 4a plus 5 is equal to 9. We subtract 5 from both sides, and we get 4 is equal to 4a, and divide both sides by 4, and we find out that our a value is equal to 1. Now all we have to do is plug our information into the formula. We have f of x is equal to a, which is 1, times x minus h. We'll subtract a negative 2, made it positive. We have to square that term. Then we add k to it. This is your final answer. All right, moving on to problem number 5. First thing we want to do is identify h, k, x, and y. And looking at our what was given, it says write the equation of a quadratic function with f of -1 equal to 0. This is our x, and this is our y, because they told us our maximum value, that's our vertex, so we know our vertex is h and k. Okay? Going to take those extra couple seconds like I told you would help you in the end. We're going to write down our values for h and k, and that's -2, +2. So this is h, this is k. We're also going to write down our values for x and y, which are -1 and 0. So that's our x and y. First thing we're going to do is we're going to plug into the equation and solve for our a value. All right. Well, we were told that x is, which problem are we working on? We're working on problem number 5. All right. So we plug in y is equal to 0, and that's equal to a times x, which is -1, minus h, which is minus the -2, made it a positive. We square that value, and we add k to it, which is +2. -1 plus 2 is +1. 1 squared is 1, so we end up with 1a plus 2 is equal to 0. All right, subtract 2 from both sides, and we end up finding out that a is equal to a -2. We're almost there. All we have to do is plug in our values into the formula that we're given, which is f of x is equal to -2 times x plus 2 quantity squared plus 2. That is our final answer. Moving on to problem number 6. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to write down what h and k is. Our h value is 5. Our k value is 12. So I'm going to write these down below, h and k. We have x is equal to 7 and y is equal to 15. Now we're going to go ahead and solve for a. So to solve for a, we plug in the information that's given. We have 15 equals a times 7 minus 5 quantity squared plus k, which is 12. 7 minus 5 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So what we have is 15 is equal to 4a plus 12, or 4a is equal to 3. So when we solve for a, we get a is equal to 3 over 4. Next thing to do is plug in all of our information into the formula, which is f of x is equal to a, which is 3 over 4, times x minus h, which is 5, quantity squared, plus k, plus 12. All right, moving on to problem number 7. Same process. We're going to write down what h and k is. We have 4 and -1. H is 4 and k is equal to -1. And we have 2 and 3. That's our x and our y term. All right. Now we're going to solve for what a is. So we're going to take 3. And that's equal to a times 2 minus 4, quantity squared, minus 1. We simplify. This gives us negative 2. Negative 2 squared is equal to 4. So we end up with 4a minus 1 is equal to 3. So a is equal to a positive 1. Plug our information into the vertex form of the equation, and we get f of x is equal to x minus 4 quantity squared. Whoops. Quantity squared. I'm going to erase that so it looks better. Let's get the eraser. There we go. X minus 4 quantity squared minus 1. All right. And then last but not least, we're going to go faster. We have h and k. H is equal to negative 1 and k is equal to 4. H and k. We have our x and y value, and our x is negative 3, and our y value is 0. First thing we do is we calculate our a, so y is equal to 0. We plug it in. We have a times negative 3 plus 1 quantity squared plus 4. All right, we do the simple math. We get 4a plus 4 is equal to 0. We subtract 4 from both sides and then divide, and we get a is equal to negative 1. Last step, we plug it into the vertex form of the equation, and we get f of x is equal to negative quantity x plus 1 squared, or we could say negative 1 times the quantity x plus 1 squared plus 4. All right. That's the equation they were looking for. We were finished. All right, for you guys in Mr. Ihorn's class, if y'all need any help with this, sign up for me for math time or come during my 7th period conference or after school or before school.